Good evening. I'm Scott Jones, editor of the 2016 Martian Migraine Press anthology, Cthulhusattva, Tales of the Black Gnosis. And I'm joined tonight by one of the authors who has a story in the anthology. It's Jayaprakash Satyamurthy from India, from Bangalore. Is that correct?
That's right.
Fantastic. Jayaprakash's story is it's a brief one. It's a potent little gem of black gnosis that was not hard for me to pick at all in the editing process. We of course had over 400 submissions, and this was easily.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I had some work to do, but thankfully with your story, Jayaprakash, which is called "At the Left Hand of Nothing." My editing style is very much, do I have to do anything to this? And there wasn't much to do. It was pretty much perfect from the start. Can you tell us a little bit about the story? It's really almost more of an essay, isn't it? It's sort of an examination.
It is.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what pushed you to write it?
Sure. Well, I picked up a copy of When the Stars Are Right, which is your book about.
That's right.
Yep. I picked up a copy of When the Stars Are Right, which is your book about your whole examination of the so-called Cthulhu mythos from the Black Gnosis perspective. And I think a lot of what I was doing with this piece was I wanted to write something that would be in keeping with the tone and approach of that book. Because although there are story elements in the book, it's also very much a series of essays, of almost scholarly pieces. And what I was aiming for was something that would be in that vein. I also find it difficult writing stories set in other people's universes or conceptions. So for me, the essay format seemed like a more natural way to take on the ideas behind the Cthulhusattva anthology.
I get that a lot, actually, almost scholarly. But there's elements of horror too in your essay. I mean, basically, not to give anything away. But we're dealing in your story At the Left Hand of Nothing. You're dealing with sort of the deep movements and motivations of sort of the true cultist. I think in a lot of when we talk about Lovecraft's universe, when we talk about Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, we often see a certain brand of cultists which we've all sort of become fond of, or at the very least used to, and these are the robe wearing, gibberish chanting, knife wielding maniacs, it's essentially who have gone so far into the disruptive and nature of the mythos that they're really not functioning very well anymore. And yet in your essay you deal with the natural progression of what a person with high functioning intelligence would basically move forward, and you take it to a very interesting place. So we won't spoil it too much for the readers, but
Right.
It was in keeping.
Thanks.
I did ask folks to read When the Stars Are Right. Not so much as as gospel, but as a guide. It's certainly worked in your case. I was very fond of your story.
Thanks.
Can you
Mhm. Tell me.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I actually read When the Stars Are Right, not as preparation for the anthology, but because I was curious. I was curious about what the take on the so-called mythos was. And it was quite exciting to realize that there was also an anthology where one could sort of expand on those ideas. So that worked really well for me.
Good, I'm glad. Yes, that was my goal. Can you tell us about any other projects you've got? Of course, you've got your chapbook from, I think it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Weird
Yeah,
Tales of a Bangalorean.
that's
Anything
right.
anything coming up in future that we need to know about?
Well, I have one more chapbook coming out from Jordan Kroll's Dunham's Manor Press. The manuscript is already submitted. Uh, we just need to get to work on the illustrations, which I think will happen over the next couple of months. This one is going to be called A Volume of Sleep. And I'm really excited about it. I think the stories are a little different from the first lot. I'm really interested to see what kind of response it gets. Dave Felton will be doing the illustrations, and I'm really
Oh,
looking forward to what
fantastic!
he does.
That is
Yeah.
great. That is great. He does
I
amazing work. Have you seen any of it yet? Have you seen any?
No, not yet, but I like his work. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he's
really like his work. He'd actually once done an illustration for a story of mine that was supposed to go on the Lovecraft e-zine, but I wound up having to publish it elsewhere, so the illustration was never used. But it was a brilliant piece of work, and I'm really glad to get a chance to work with him again.
fantastic. Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
The the other project that I have on hand is a novella for Dim Shores Press, which I'm again very excited about because I've heard a lot of good things about Dim Shores. For this one, I'm working with an Indian illustrator called Anup Bhatt, and I'm actually struggling to write this one on time because it's set in the world of the Indian heavy metal scene, and in some ways, I'm perhaps too close to the subject matter to be really objective.
That's right, because
I'm trying not to just make it.
you have four bands, don't you? Am I incorrect about that number? But you're basically you run a number of
Yes.
heavy metal bands.
Well, it kind of ranges. It kind of ranges from psychedelic to sort of improvisatory sludge to doom metal. But yes, I have a couple of bands that I sort of primarily started, and then there are a couple of more collaborative projects that I'm participating in. Yeah, I'm keeping busy.
Fantastic. That's wonderful to
Uh,
hear. Sam Cowan's
yeah.
Dim Shores is has just blowing up in the last year. He does amazing work. So, I hadn't heard this news until you said it, and I'm just so pleased to hear it because, of course, always
Yeah, I
excited.
hope I'm not. I
Hope you're
hope
not
I'm
giving
not
any.
jumping the gun.
Oh, yeah, we'll see.
Oh well.
You know what? Tell you what, we'll find out afterwards, and if we have,
Yeah.
I'll edit this
Hmm.
part out.
Sure.
How's that?
I think he'll be okay with. Yeah, I think he'll be okay with it. But yeah, that's perfect.
All right. Yeah, you check with him. You check with him. I don't want to tread on Sam Cowan's toes at all.
Sure thing.
We're friends, so yeah, I'd like to keep it that way. But that's a great
Sure.
announcement. So I hope he does let us announce that. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. But very
Yeah, same
excited,
here.
very excited to hear about that. And it's called what again? A Volume of Sleep.
A Volume of Sleep is my chapbook for Dunham's Manor,
Oh, that's right. Sorry. And do we
and
have
this novella is probably going to be called "Of Dreams and Dust."
evocative? I like that. All your titles are evocative. Yeah, it's very very pleased to have discovered you in the the weird circles, Jayaprakash. There's talk. I think there was.
Thanks.
I think the first time I actually heard of you, there was talk of bringing you to Providence,
Hmm.
to New England for Necronomicon. Is that something that you'd like to do in the future? Are we gonna be able to see you at the convention in 2017?
Yes, I'm hoping to make it in 2017. I also have an uncle who lives in DC, so I can combine a family visit with it. So it's very much on the cards. Yeah,
Oh, fantastic! Oh, I'm pleased to hear that too. We'll all be there. We shall gather in Providence, sir.
that'll be fantastic. And
Yeah,
I'd just
it's
like to say that I've seen so many different takes on the mythos on Lovecraft. It isn't even as if I like to call myself a Lovecraftian writer anymore, but When the Stars Are Right was something that really sort of energized and excited me. I think it's one of the most interesting takes on Lovecraft in a long time, and I'm very excited to be a small part of it.
Thanks so much for saying so. That
Sure.
that warms me, sir.
Yeah.
That warms me, sir. Yeah. Well, we all work hard on these things, so it's nice to hear that, and yeah, thank you. Thanks very much, and thank you so much for being in the book as well. It's like I said again, The Left Hand of Nothing was an easy choice for me, but we know everybody has a choice of where to submit their material. I'm really glad you submitted to Martian Migrant Press for Cthulhusattva Tales of the Black Gnosis. So
I'm really looking forward to reading. Yeah, sorry. I'm really looking forward to reading the other stories in the book. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading the other stories in the book. I'm very curious to see, because there's some really good writers there. I'm really curious to see how they have taken a more fictive, a more narrative approach to these ideas. I'm very curious. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm excited about hearing reactions to it because my goal with it was basically, all the stories had to, touch on the theme either more or less, but I also didn't want to fall into the trap of making them all sort of dry tales of mythos enlightenment. There had to be, fear there. There had to be a certain, element of sort of a weird excitement. In one particular story, Constantine Paradius's Emperor Eternal, it is a to the wall sort of gore fest even, and yet it works. It works within the context. So yeah, I've got a wide range. So and your piece I've placed just a little bit before the middle. It's kind of a sort of a palate cleanser to move into the second half of the book. So I'm pleased with where I've put it, and I hope you like it, sir.
Great. Yeah. Looking forward to this.
So if
Thanks
folks
a lot.
If folks want to read more of your work, is there a website they can go to? Do you have sort of a homepage or?
Oh gosh, I do have a homepage and I can't remember the URL. It's on WordPress. I'll send it to you afterwards.
Okay, sure, no problem. I will post up the information when I edit this in post.
Yeah, not the best organized.
That's all right. We're all busy, all different levels of organization. Well, thanks so much for talking with me, Jayaprakash. The time delay between Victoria, BC, and Bangalore is, made it a little interesting here. But thanks for coming on and taking the time to have a chat with me. It was really great.
Thank you.